I would suspect that during this pandemic, you haven't had your haircut. Maybe some of you have, since the salons recently opened up here in Dallas, Texas, and other places around the country. But I have yet to get mine. Life has been a real struggle. And I say that not just because of not being able to go to my favorite barber, but life has been hard for all of us. And I find that we really get to learn more about ourselves through struggle than when times are just really, really good. Not to say that it's not difficult. So I just wanted to kind of touch base with you guys to see how we're using this as an opportunity to grow, to learn ourselves, to be better, to see where we're awesome, to see where we need to be improving so we can better handle stress in the future. So there's three things that I wanted to kind of get into in order to progress and improve, actions that lead our way to a better life, things that we train for when we go to work out, but we also train mentally for it. I wanted to talk about one thing that we have to do first is that we have to be real and honest about how we feel and about our situation that is just around us that we can't avoid. And I've been thinking about this because I know for my situation, if I'm just giving you real talk, as your girl Shawnee would say, you can give her a follow on Instagram at your girl Shawnee on Instagram. Real talk. This has been a real struggle for the last couple of months, particularly emotionally, because as a fitness coach and not being able to have access to a gym to work out for me, which is very, very instrumental in handling my own stress. I do that through working out and also being able to train other people, giving a real sense of purpose that I really, truly enjoy going to the gym, helping people reach their goals, and they are happier for it. And then I'm happy that I was able to be a part of that process. All of that disappeared for the most part because of this pandemic and the gyms being closed down. So I had to kind of recalibrate and think about, well, what am I going to do to give my life a little bit of purpose, something to do every day? And as I was setting goals, I've made some achievements, but not in the way that I wanted to. And when we set goals and we don't quite get there, it could be very disappointing. And that was me. And now we're being offered to go back to work, but the pay is going to be less than half than what we were getting paid before, at least for the short term. And that adds to the stress of how am I going to take care of my family and things like that. And one thing that I just learned in my life is that, especially for men, and maybe for a lot of you women the same way, but for men, it's a lot easier to deny the fact that we are feeling stress and anxiety. It's a lot easier to deny it or just say, I just need a drink to get through this, or, nothing's wrong with me. I'm totally fine. Everything will be just fine. Even if those things are true, but if we don't acknowledge how we really feel, I find that it's like a weight on your chest, that every time you try to get up and move forward, that weight just pushes you back down or keeps you down. And even if you are able to lift that weight and walk with it, it's slowing you down. And that was the case for me. So fortunately, I have some good friends. I have a girlfriend that I was able to talk to and just be real and be honest and saying, this is how I feel and this is why I feel that way. I equate it to this book that I'm writing to, if you're trying to make progress and you run into a wall, well, you run into that wall, but if you just continue to move straight forward into that wall, thinking you're going to make progress, all you really get is some bruises that hurt. It would be better to kind of sit back, notice the wall, acknowledge the wall, measure it. How big is it? How tall is it? And then assess the best way to make that progress. Is it through it? Is it over it? Is it around the wall? So if you've been struggling mentally during this pandemic, just make sure you're to own it, acknowledge it, and that way you'll be more inclined to make a successful plan to get through it. Now, the next thing that I wanted to tell you is to admit those things, especially for guys. It takes more strength to admit it than to deny it. This comes from something that I learned in my own experience in life. Again, I talk about this a lot because this was really a moment of struggle that helped me to grow. And that's when I realized that I was suffering from depression back in 2007. And I remember if I didn't acknowledge it, I could never get better. But it was hard to acknowledge those things because I didn't want to feel like I was helpless, and especially as a man, we are looked to as a source of strength, and if I'm depressed, it seems like a source of weakness. But what is weaker than suffering from anxiety or stress and depression is the inability to admit it. It takes more strength to admit whenever you don't feel your best, whenever you have negative emotions that may be a cause of the situation around you. If you can muster up the strength to at least genuinely admit it and then own whatever those feelings or the situation is, you will be much better prepared for your future, your near future. And then that goes into the last thing: don't live life like a victim. And the course that I have in the Good Man, Strong Man course, this is another way of saying do not accept no pity. People who live in a pitiful state, who want other people to sympathize with them, and they stay in that state, it's really hard to get out of that state for the better. Matter of fact, the longer you're there, the more that we are delaying the good things that could be happening. And we're just living life like a victim. Sometimes because of the situations in life, we are a victim. That might be the acknowledgement that we have to own, but it has to be for the moment. As soon as we acknowledge that this is our situation and maybe we are a victim of circumstance, we have to be willing to make the progress necessary and not just say, oh, well, this is where I'm at. You're better than that. You're stronger than that. So in the Good Man, Strong Man program, or if you train with me, the training that we do and always progressing and always improving, always pushing your limits, we're always adding stress to the body when you work out. This is all training the mind through the same kind of exercises to push through challenges that are hard, that are not comfortable. And being in a circumstance where you have to kind of figure out not only where you are currently, but how do you get better? How do you move through it? Comfort kills growth. If you feel like you're in an uncomfortable situation now, we just have to learn how to manage it so we can grow. And if you do that, it'll be these moments of struggle that you'll look back upon and say, that was the moment that I grew. It was hard and it sucked, but I'm so thankful because of where I'm at now. If you're honest with yourself, if you're strong enough to admit where you needed help, and if you don't live life like a victim, you're going to be grateful for this moment. As much as it sucks now, it'll pay off in your future. I am Coach Rico Strong. Thank you guys for listening, and I'll talk to you next time.